Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 322. I was just thinking this morning, it's finally Friday. It's been such a slow week, going into a holiday. It always seems to kind of creep along. So I need to bookmark that comment and save it for future Bo, January or February, when I ask myself, why do the winter months go so slow, but in June and July they speed by? So future reference, this week, the final week in June, with nice weather, kind of creeped along, working for the weekend. So it is, we're coming up on 4th of July, which is Sunday. Sunday is 4th of July. I have a floating holiday since it falls on a Sunday. So in my industry, there's really there's not holidays. Like, we have office holidays, but we still, essentially work around the clock. So we don't have it's not like, office is closed on Monday because it's the 5th. Now, if it does fall during the week, we usually have somebody one person in the office. If the 4th would fall on a Monday, but since it falls on a Sunday, Monday's like a work day. You can use your flex holiday on Monday, which a few people in the office are. I'm using my flex day for next Friday. And the Cardinals and Cubs are playing at Wrigley Field, so I'm going to go down to the Cubs-Cardinals game next Friday. I was going to go to the Beloit Snappers game tonight. Trading Buddy from Twitter is in the Midwest visiting family. I can't remember where he lives. I think East Coast, maybe. So we were going to meet up. He's staying with family in Chicago. He couldn't get a car, so kind of works out for me because I'm behind running 100 auctions this week. I kind of forgot since I've kind of slowed down the eBay listings over the last couple of months. I forgot how long it can take to ship. So having 100 auctions end on Wednesday night kind of put me behind the 8 ball. So what did I do? I listed 50 more auctions last night using File Exchange. What's up, Brad? I'm really loving using File Exchange for auctions. I whipped out 50 auctions. 57-day auctions last night, and from start to finish, it took me maybe an hour to get 50 auctions. All the info into File Exchange, pictures taken, uploaded, and copied and upload the file. Because I was done at 9:15. I think I started at 8, so it took me a little over an hour to whip out 50 auctions using File Exchange. So it really has helped, and it can kind of move some of those cards along so they don't just sit. But it also puts me behind. So it's a slow week for me with my clientele. So in my day job, so I took the afternoon off yesterday. I had to mow. I'm afraid I don't want to get caught up in that, I'm going to mow tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and it rains, and then you're another day behind. And it was getting really tall after being completely brown. So mowed. Now the yard, hey, it looks good. It looked garbage a few weeks ago. So got the yard mowed and that taken care of. And then I was able to do some shipping. I grilled some pork chops, and I listed some auctions. So it was a very productive day off. And I planned it in the morning. It's man, this day's going really slow. I've got a lot of stuff I could do at home. But let me kind of make a plan in my head, because I don't want to take the afternoon off and just waste it. So I wanted to make sure, boom, boom, boom. Herman wishes you could use File. Herman, it's really easy. I can talk you through it. Brad uses it or has used it. It's actually once the first 1 or 2 tries, It can be tedious and it can take longer, but once you get in a rhythm, and if you have like all like baseball, especially if it's like, say you're opening a box of Stadium Club and you want to list the inserts, the stars, and all that. It's like that's why it took me so little time last night, was because everything was Bowman Mega Box refractors and some Bowman Chrome. So okay, you don't have Excel, so okay, so that does limit you. So uh, go Stars, go Flyers. I don't even know. Somebody asked me a question. I don't even. Is it the Stanley Cup? Is that going on? I don't know. Like somebody asked me a while back, and I'm like, I don't know hockey. Um, so Brad got it. Took an hour and a half. All fields full. Awesome. So that's what I did yesterday. I'll show off my mail days from the last couple days. So this was the printing plate. Paul Blackburn, first Bowman Chrome auto printing plate. These are one of one, but I don't consider them a true one of one because there's like 4 different plates. I think we've been flooded with one of ones, but they are cool. I actually bought this on Twitter, and it was shipped on December 11th, and it was received on June 30th. So a little 6.5 month transit within the post office. So finally arrived. Totally forgot. Didn't know where it came from. And then when I tweeted it out the other night, the person I bought it from responded. He's like, I sent that months ago. And then I went back to our DMs, and it's like, sure enough, he DM'd me about it, and I bought it from him through Twitter. Use Google Sheets, Google 365. I have not tried that, but that probably would work. And then yesterday, I got the most recent Cubs Project 70 card, Ryan Sandberg, from Bobby Hundreds. I fell in love with his art early on with his first card. I think it was the 90 Topps Ken Griffey Jr. And I'm like, oh man, once I read the story, when I first saw the picture, I'm like, this is garbage. What is this? And then I read the behind, it's like errors. So I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. I hope he does a Cub. And sure enough, he released a Ryan Sandberg. So it's got the 85. It's got a little bit of the 89 down there in the corner. It's got his 83, 87 border. So a lot of stuff going on. I love it. So I'm glad Bobby Hundreds did a Cubs. So this makes, I think, 5 Cubs now in Project 70. And I'm cool. If they want to release Yankees all the time, I'm now cool with that because I have 5 Cubs. So I don't want to spend like $20 a pop. Like if I was a Yankees collector and I was buying all the Yankees, you'd be broke. So I'm glad the Cubs aren't getting much love because I don't want to put all that money into the project. In fact, if the Cubs were getting like Yankees love in the project, I wouldn't be buying all of them. I would be picking and choosing. So I'm now I'm happy. Like when they went 110 cards without a Cub, like that was annoying. But now they've released 5, so I'm good. 2 Ernie Banks, Javier Baez, Ryan Sandberg, Greg Maddux. So it's been a nice like I was surprised that those are the guys. I would expect a Chris Bryant at some time. I'm surprised he hasn't been. I figured Javi Baez and Ernie Banks would be the 2, and then maybe Sandberg. Maddux surprised me. I figured if Maddux gets cards in the project, he would be with the Braves. And then who was the other one I missed? Maddux, Sandberg, 2 Banks, and Baez. So yeah, the 4 players, 5 cards. Herman picked up the new Jameson. Brad called me out on Sports Card Nation this morning. Sorry, I'm behind. So So that was my mail day. What else is going on? Oh, the two. So some big news stories. I won't go too in depth on these, but I do want to share a story. College athletes can make money now on their name. They can do endorsements and all that stuff. So I just kind of want to share because I tweeted something last night, and I just want to share a personal story of working inside college athletics and how crazy it can be. Goldin Auctions sold to Collectors Holdings. So Collectors Holdings is kind of the overall company name owned by Steve Cohen and Nat Turner from PSA. So Collectors Holdings is who owns Collectors Universe. Now Collectors Universe is what PSA is under. So PSA, Goldin Auctions, under the same umbrella. I'm not going to go into too many details. It is big news, but I don't know like the business, all the ins and the outs. So I'm not going to provide any commentary on that. But that is a big news story within the hobby. Goldin Auctions, Goldin himself, drawing a blank on his first name, Ken. So he did sign on a multi-year deal to stay with the company and run Goldin Auctions. So that was some big news. It's all over mainstream media, so you can read more about it in the Google machine. So college athletes, July 1st, big day for college athletes. They can make money on their names. So they can do autograph signings, public appearances. They can endorse products. So it's a big day for NCAA college athletes, and this is throughout Division 1, 2, and 3. So that's pretty cool. You're gonna see. I know Brian Gray at Leaf is working out some deals. So you'll see what going to be some exclusive cards. Yes, you do see college cards like with Panini draft picks and all that. That's with the NCAA, so that stuff won't change. It is going to be interesting, and this was brought up, and I can't remember where I heard it or read it, but somebody made the comment, what if an athlete signs with, say, Adidas, but he goes to a Nike school? That's a big conflict. There's got to be, and I don't know the full details behind, the language behind all this. It's still like I don't know how it's all working out, but I am 99% sure that can't happen under this new law, this new rule. If for some reason it can, I don't know. I'd have to read up on that, but because there's got to be some I don't know. But I do want to share a personal story. I worked in college, so I tweeted out last night. I'm like, I should hire somebody to be my official sponsor of the 1 Million Cubs project and sort my cards. And somebody didn't get my humor. It was a joke. And they said that's not how it works. I worked in college athletics for 3 years. Small Division I school, Western Illinois. Basically, it's a low major in terms of what it was in athletics. But I worked there 10 years ago. It's been 10 years already. So when I was there, I was getting big into, I was tweeting a lot. Twitter was still basically in its infancy, because this would have been 2011. I joined Twitter. I think Twitter was created in 07, 08. I was about a year behind on Twitter, because actually one of my friends who's not tech savvy at all or not into social media, he was telling me, oh, you should be on Twitter. And I think he was just suggesting it because of my personality maybe. And he was right, because here we are 12 years later and I'm still on Twitter all day and all night. So Got on Twitter 2009. So 2011, I was, going strong. I was tweeting a lot about, at that point in time, I was working at the university. I was also doing some high school sporting events. So, and I worked one summer with the Chiefs. So I was tweeting a lot of Cubs baseball, minor league stuff. So I had like kind of a diverse following. And I tweeted about anything and everything, kind of like what I do now. Like I'll tweet about music, I'll tweet about food, I'll tweet about gardening, just bicycling, just a bunch of random stuff. So I got called to the principal's office several times over Twitter. And by principal's office, I mean the director of compliance. So the craziest. So this is how so it's like opening this up is like just so foreign to me because of like my past and like how regulated the NCAA can be. So now it's like the Wild West. It's like, wow, this is crazy. So the craziest principal's office meeting I had was I get a phone call. So I worked in the athletics office during the day, and then at night I would do some part-time work at the newspaper. So, and I still remember this clear as day. I was working at the newspaper, and my boss, my superior, called me, and he goes, "Hey, you've got to take some tweets down." And I'm like, no, I had tweeted, some humor, and I figured it was something along the lines of something I said that, may have not looked good for somebody representing the university. So maybe I crossed that line a little bit. No, it wasn't that at all. He goes, "You've been tweeting with a recruit's family member." And I'm like, and it like, just kind of like, what? And I'm like, did I tweet something about the university? He's like, "Oh, no. It's nothing like that. It's just, I think it was about like, I'll bring it up." So what it was I had tweeted out like, "What's your favorite like 80s hair band?" And so I was having a Twitter, like just in the replies, a conversation with a recruit's father about 80s hair bands. And that was a minor violation because employees of an institution cannot engage in, and this was 10 years ago, in online communication with a PSA, a potential student athlete. So this opened up a huge can of worms. So the next day, I set up a meeting with our compliance, and so we met, and I said, so like we were talking about music, like nothing was like, we weren't even talking about, he was a running back from Missouri. And he ended up coming to WYU, and then I think he transferred out a couple years later. But anyway, I said, we were talking about, like, we weren't even talking about football. We weren't talking about the university. We were talking about warrant and Poison. Like, we were talking about hair metal from the 80s. So I just found it kind of ridiculous. So then it got like further in the weeds, and like she was explaining to me that you can't do online communication with PSAs, potential student athletes, and their families. So, and I get like direct communication with, say I was talking about bands with the actual recruit. I can see where that would be, frowned upon in a violation. But with like a family member who I didn't even really know that who he was, and it's like, well, how do I know who I'm even talking with on social media? How do I know? Like, I don't have a list of who each coach is recruiting. I go, is this only for football? Is this for swimming or tennis? And yes, it was for any potential student athlete. So then I'm thinking, well, what is, by NCAA definition, a PSA? And a PSA was anybody, regardless if they played athletics, a person like between the ages of 14 and 18. So I'm like, okay, so my neighbor's kid is in band or even plays tennis and is not a good tennis player. Wouldn't scratch the surface at a Division III school, let alone Division I. So you're saying we can't, even though I have an existing relationship with the dad next door, that we can't engage in online conversation about gardening? And then it got into a gray area, and and this led to a department-wide meeting about PSAs, and basically nothing was settled. So we had this meeting. So like a few days later, we set up this department-wide. Coaches were there, like everybody was there. And I think it might have been our baseball coach. No, I don't think it was our baseball coach. It was another sports coach, but his dad was a high school baseball coach in like another state. And he's like, well, what if my dad won a state championship in baseball in whatever state it was. So you're saying I can't congratulate my own dad on social media saying, congratulations, on winning. And they're like, oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's a direct violation. And it's like, this is insane. When is the NCAA gonna and I'm sure this was 10 years ago. So this was like early on in social media, especially Twitter. So I'm almost certain things have, you can talk about warrant with a random dad on social media, on Twitter or whatever. So that was I wanted to share that story and how crazy the NCAA can be with certain violations, and also kind of tying directly to the NIL, where college athletes can now get paid for endorsing, or they can, they can get lunch. Like we had our football banquet, and sitting at a table with it wasn't our compliance. It was actually my boss, and he kind of works like he knows the ins and outs of compliance just based on his title. So our defensive coordinator is talking about, and I think it was our like defensive player of the year award. So he was talking about the player, and he was talking about how he took him out. Like I went and bought it. I went to Subway, bought him lunch. However, he stated it. Essentially, he said he bought this player lunch at Subway. So $5 sub, $5 foot long. And my boss goes, oh shoot, I got to report this. That's a violation. And I think that was my first year. That was before I was really thick in the weeds of how Twitter violations can work. And so the defensive coordinator, and these are all like minor like you self-report and nothing happens. It's basically now, like, your punishment is filling out paperwork and submitting it to the NCAA. There's no, like, you're not suspended, you're not fined, you're not, scholarships aren't taken. It's, these are all minor violations that, it's just a headache for compliance to fill out some paperwork for the NCAA. But I wanted to share some of my own NCAA run-ins at the principal's office. So that's that. That's about all I had for today. Hopefully I'll have some news coming in the next couple days. Our July Madison Card Show is coming up on the 24th at the Sheraton Hotel. I actually did some looking on, Brad, I was watching your video, your yesterday's video last night, and you were talking about doing card shows, and that really got my heart pumping with excitement to do some other card shows, just to try to get as much cash in pocket for the national. So it inspired me to look at the card show calendar on the Beckett website, looking for some shows here the next couple weekends. Our show is the 24th, so I was going to try to squeeze one in, another show before the 24th, try to move some more cards, get a few more bucks for the national. Unfortunately, there's not really any. There's one that I'd like to set up in Milwaukee. but it's tomorrow, so that the timing's not going to work out. And I think there's maybe only one more. I'll have to look at the Illinois calendar, because there may be, if there's some like in Rockford or the northern suburbs, I could possibly swing that. But so that's where I'm at. Cash is king. So have a great day. It's Friday. I will be live again tomorrow morning, probably between 8 and 9 tomorrow. So typical weekend time. Probably I'll go live on Sunday. Sundays are slow. So Saturday and Sunday we'll go live with Hobby Evolution. And then next week, who knows? Who knows what the schedule was? Next Friday, who knows? It kind of depends on like my schedule of going down to Chicago. So probably go live like before I leave. So that's it. Have a great Friday, and we'll talk tomorrow.